You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast. This is the Unofficial Football Podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me at Official Sam Little on Instagram. There's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Welcome to a very much impromptu Maple Footy Podcast, being the Unofficial Football Podcast of the North. This is the biggest news coming of Canadian football today, as new coach Jesse Marsch just announced his first squad. And you know what they say, you never forget your first. He may be American-made, but he's now Canada's own. Jesse Marsch will be taking Canada to friendlies against the Netherlands and France as they gear up for their Euros campaign, and we'll be gearing up for our first ever Copa America. It's important to note, though, that this is not the same squad for our Copa America, as that hasn't been announced. These are strictly the friendlies. Now, I personally don't think there will be much change between our squad for these friendlies and our Copa America squad, but you never know. Football changes very quickly. There has been some uncertainty around Marsch's appointment, but love him or hate him, he is our guy now, and I think we have to back him. He does have massive boots to fill, following in the footsteps of Canada's greatest ever head coach in John Herdman, and he's honestly one of the most important figures in our organization's history. I honestly fully believe John Herdman should get a statue somewhere in this country for what he did for our program. But Marsch himself is a highly decorated coach. He's been the assistant coach of the United States national team, Princeton Tigers, and RB Leipzig, whilst being the main man at Montreal, New York Red Bulls, Red Bull Salzburg, back to RB Leipzig as the head coach this time, and most recently Leeds. He's a two-time Supporters' Shield winner in the MLS and a two-time Austrian Bundesliga champion, a two-time Austrian Cup winner, and in 2015, the MLS Coach of the Year. He does have a very impressive CV, so let's back him. And as far as Canadian squads go, this is a strong one in my opinion. No huge surprises, but some pleasant introductions and reintroductions. Our big five are in there, and for me, our big five are Stephen Eustáquio, Alphonso Davies, Kyle Larin, Jonathan David, and Alistair Johnston. Then you have your veterans like Jonathan Osorio, Richie Lorea, Samuel Piette, and then, of course, guys like Kone and Kamal Miller. It is still very weird seeing a Canadian men's national team with no Atiba Hutchinson, as he did retire, but some other guys are missing out on a call, like Steven Vittoria, Milan Borjan, Mark Anthony Kaye, Joel Waterman, Russell Rowe, Lucas Cavallini, and David Wotherspoon. Speaking of guys missing out, let's take a look at some of the guys that did miss out in a little bit more depth. You have Vittoria and Borjan, who will be missed in these camps with both their style of play and their leadership qualities, but I do think that we do need to move on from these two. Nothing against either one of them. I just think their time has come and gone. They did great things for our national team, but as the saying goes, the game goes on, and the game has gone on. Some center backs that did miss out are Scott Kennedy, Joel Waterman, and Lucas McNaughton. I think they could feel hard done by. I'm pretty surprised that not even one of the three was called up, especially between Waterman and McNaughton. Waterman has been a pretty regular call-up for the team, but has had a slight dip in form this season, whereas McNaughton has only ever had one cap for the boys in red, but I actually do really like him and think he's proving himself to be a pretty good center back in the MLS, and I think he could offer something for this team. For me, there's not much to separate Waterman and McNaughton. I'm just surprised that Marsch didn't bring at least one of them, even just for depth's sake. Mark Anthony Kaye also finds himself without a call this time around. He missed the last round of internationals as well, as he's been pretty in and out of the setup since the 2022 World Cup. I once again think he does have something to offer this team and offers us something a little bit different. I think he wins back possession and breaks up our play really well. But ever since his move to TFC in 2022 and now New England Revolution, his form has been very on and off. It's started to pick up now with the Revs, but even still, two players that are a bit less surprising to miss out, but I do still want to mention them are Liam Fraser and David Wotherspoon. Both of them are very good holding midfielders in my opinion and have a great final ball on them. Lucas Cavallini also misses out after a slow start to his Liga MX return, just 1 goal in 12 games. I do really like Cavallini, and he's stepped up on a number of occasions for our men's national team, but we're so full of depth in our striker positions that if he's not begging consistently, he won't be getting the call. I really do hope that he does turn around, as he is a different type of striker compared to the boys that we are bringing. And lastly, left back Sam Adekubi doesn't make the squad, but it's not due to performance. It's due to the fact that he's had some injuries this season and he's currently sidelined with a calf injury. Now let's properly get into the boys that did get a call, and we're obviously going to start out with the goalkeepers. We've decided to bring 4 keepers with Max Crepeau, Dane St. Clair, Thomas McGill, and I'm so sorry if I butcher your name, Gregory Swinderski? I don't know. I'll have to ask him next time I talk to him. The latter two, I believe, are being called up for exposure and experience, as Swinderski is only 18 years old. So congratulations to him on getting this call. And Thomas McGill is 24 and hasn't been capped yet. So just congratulations to both of them for getting the call. But I don't think either of them will be seeing the pitch this time around. I do believe this will be Crepeau's position to lose. He's a great keeper, and I think he'll be hungry to show what he's got. He stepped up for Canada when needed and has shown he has a winner's mentality. I think of when he was playing for LAFC and broke his leg to stop a guy from scoring in the 2022 MLS Cup final. He will do anything to win for his team, is the point I'm trying to make here. That actually led to him missing out on our 2022 World Cup. And LAFC thanked him by kicking him to the curb to Portland. And Portland haven't been great so far. I think Crepeau has been good, but he is yet to keep a clean sheet this season. But he has made 37 saves, averaging about 3 per match. And on the other side, you have Dane St. Clair. The 27-year-old has enjoyed 4 caps for Canada. He's played in every match for Minnesota this season and has kept 2 clean sheets. Much like Crepeau, he has stepped up for Canada when they've needed him. And I think back to that Gold Cup performance against the U.S. in 2023, he was unreal. I honestly wouldn't have an issue with him being the starting keeper going forward or even in these friendlies. But like I said, I do think it is Crepeau's position to lose, as he has been Canada's number 2 for a few years now. So I think that it's now his time to be our number 1. We've also obviously brought in some defenders. It would be very strange if Jesse Marsch decided not to bring in any defenders. But yeah, so we brought in some defenders. We're looking at some of the regular boys with Kamal Miller as a center back, Derek Cornelius, Kyle Hybert, Bombito, and Luke de Fogueroles. Our 2 best and most experienced center backs are Miller with 42 caps and Cornelius with 18. Miller, to me, is our best center back, I think, and is the one that stands out. He's like a brick wall when he's in top form. I do really like him. He's decent with his feet, comfortable on the ball, and I think he can offer some great distribution too. I'm not sure if this is a controversial take amongst Canadian supporters, but I honestly thought he was one of our best players at the World Cup, whereas Cornelius is also a solid option and has enjoyed a really good season with Malmo, picking up some silverware. He's been around the setup for a little bit, but has never truly gotten his flowers, so I think this will be a big opportunity for him to step up and show why he can be a consistent starter under Marsch. I will be interested to see how Marsch lines up his back line. Will it be a back 3 with 2 wing backs or just a straight up back 4? Because I think that will influence the guys I'm going to talk about next, which is our fullbacks. So obviously you have the great options, Alphonso Davies. You may or may not know him, Alistair Johnson, Richie Larea, and Dominic Zatar. I do think that Adekubi will be a miss, though. I also think there's probably question marks around Richie Larea, given he's been out all season for TFC with injury, so I'm not sure he'll be ready for these friendlies or even the Copa America. Time will tell. I'm honestly expecting a roster change for him, if I'm being honest, at least for these friendlies. Dominic Zatar, I think, has a huge opportunity for the right back. He's 29 years old and has been capped twice by Canada. He plays his football in Poland, where he made 34 appearances this season. For me, he is a little bit of an unknown, so I'm really interested to see what he can bring to this team. And our other 2 star men are, of course, Alistair Johnson, who enjoyed yet another great season with Celtic, where he completed the league and cup double. He played 41 times in all competitions, providing 7 assists and 1 goal. He's been capped 40 times already for the national team and has proven his worth. He can play right back, right wing back, and slot in on the right side center back in a back 3, which is why I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm interested to see how Marsch will line up his back line. And then speaking of our defenders that can play anywhere, Alphonso Davies, who can play at left wing back, or left wing in an attacking formation. Alphonso Davies is obviously our standout. He had a great season from a personal standpoint with Bayern Munich, which uncharacteristically ended with them having no goal to show for their efforts. It could be his final season with them as well, as Real Madrid are heavily linked with him. But Davies has been capped 45 times for Canada, scoring 15, and one of those at the World Cup. What is there left to say about him, honestly? He's one of the top talents in the world, and we're just so lucky to have him. I'll be interested to see how Marsch actually uses him, if he is using that left back role or left winger, especially because we did bring 3 guys to play on the left wing, and Davies has been listed as a defender. So I'm not sure if that's a telling sign. Only time will tell come the friendlies. But regardless, if we want any kind of result, Davies will be crucial. Our midfielders are the usual suspects, and deservedly so. Choinière, Eustáquio, Kone, Piet, and Osorio are the 5 we're bringing, and it's hard to say any of them shouldn't be there. So Choinière is looking in really good form at the moment, despite some murmurings he may or may not be happy in Montreal, whereas Kone has enjoyed such a great season, and I feel like has kind of fully announced himself as our future guy, potentially, if it all pans out for him. And I really hope it does, because the way he plays is just so fun to watch, honestly. And I'm expecting him to be very vital in these friendlies as well as in the Copa America itself. I don't see him getting knocked off of this squad. I really don't. Like I said, unless injuries take place, knock on wood, they do not. But yeah, I think he'll be there, and I think it's very exciting to see what he'll be able to bring to the team. And Samuel Piet, in my opinion, also of Montreal, the captain of Montreal actually, is one of our most underrated and underused midfielders that we have. I know it's strange to say that about a guy who has 68 caps, and to say he's underused probably makes it sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But he wasn't used a whole ton in World Cup qualifying, didn't get a single minute at the World Cup, wasn't used a ton in the latter stages of the Gold Cup and or the Nations League. I know he was having injury concerns throughout those times, but come on, he really is that good, in my opinion. I think he's one of our most unique midfielders that we do have. I've gotten to see him play a number of times in person, and the way he can control a game's flow and dictate the midfield, and he can honestly set himself apart from our other midfielders. And I just think he's been really hard done by in recent history with the Canadian national team. So I do look forward to see how Marsch will utilize him. But regardless of if Piet does play or doesn't play, I'm really hoping he does. But regardless, I think he is a great leader to have in this camp. With some of our young guys, even like the Davieses, the Davids, Tajon Buchanan, we still need that guy that is just there as a leading presence. And whilst those 3 players I think can mature into that, I think Piet is there. He is a leader. He's the captain of his club, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he's used in these upcoming friendlies. And Stefan Eustáquio, whether you love him or hate him, or think he's overrated or underrated, you can't deny that he is absolutely vital to our team. He's so strong in possession and can pick out a ball, like no one else in this side. He captained the side last time out against Trinidad and Tobago and won the 2023 Canadian Men's Player of the Year, and he just finished another strong season with Porto that just saw him win the Portuguese Cup. Yeah, I do like Eustáquio. Like I said, he's great in possession, and he does offer us something that I don't think many other, if any other guy in our squad can, and I think that's some stability in the midfield. He really does. He can really hold and absorb possession and pressure, I find, and I think that's a very great trait to have in a midfielder. And yeah, coming off of a year where he won our country's Player of the Year, Men's Player of the Year, I think there's going to be big expectations on him in this friendly and in the Copa America. And finally, Toronto FC captain Jonathan Osorio. Now, I'm going to be totally honest here. Jonathan Osorio is one of my favorite players of all time and my favorite Canadian player ever. So forgive me if I come off a little biased when I speak of him. He's enjoyed great highs and great lows with Canada and Toronto FC. With both of them, he started when neither of them were great, but as the teams evolved, he got better. And there's a reason why he has 71 caps and 3 of them coming at the World Cup, and has scored 9 goals for his country. He holds the record for TFC's highest appearances ever with 355, scoring 64 goals and 38 assists. He's been in the Canadian setup for a while now, and while he is aging, he still does have something to offer this team. He's absolutely phenomenal in possession, I think, and no, he is not the quickest, but he can find himself in positions and space that he creates so well. And I think a really underrated aspect of his game is his eye for a pass. He can pick out a ball just so well. And going back to my point of him finding himself in space, I just always think of that goal that he scored against Mexico in the lead up to our World Cup campaign and the World Cup qualifying, when he just out of nowhere just came into the box unmarked and just put in just such a beautiful goal. And I think that's really what he brings to this team. He finds himself in these positions and he capitalizes on them. And yeah, and as he's aging, he's becoming more and more of a well-rounded midfielder. I find it. He has been a well-rounded midfielder for a while, if we're being honest. But yeah, I think he's just a reliable guy that you can kind of count on. I think his IQ for the sport has helped him stay in this Canadian national team, and it's why he keeps getting the call. So I think big things are expected of this midfield. I think it is a really good midfield. Like I was talking about earlier, some guys will maybe feel hard done by that they weren't given a call, but it's hard to argue that any of these midfielders shouldn't be here. And now on to the attackers that we've decided to bring in. This really excites me. So looking at the forward line, which in my opinion is always exciting, and especially if we have Alphonso Davies playing there, I think it makes it even more exciting. We're bringing Brim, Tajon Buchanan, Junior Hoylett, Liam Miller, Jacob Schaffelberg, Theo Bair, Jonathan David, Ugbo, and Kyle Larin. Now, our left wing slot is absolutely stacked, in my opinion, and I'm really happy about it, because I was really, really worried that one of, or maybe even two, of Jacob Schaffelberg, Liam Miller, and Junior Hoylett weren't going to get the call just to save a spot for someone else. But no, we've brought all three, and all three of them definitely deserve it. Any one of them would have been hard done by to have missed out on a call from Jesse Marsch. So it's great to see that Marsch is, in fact, bringing all three and showing them that if you're going to play well, you're going to get the call. Jacob Schaffelberg offers us something great with his pace, as he genuinely is one of the fastest players in the MLS and is probably one of the fastest players on our squad. And that's including guys like Tajon Buchanan and Alphonso Davies. I think Jacob Schaffelberg is probably maybe behind them, like just behind them. That's my opinion. He's rapid. He is rapid. He's really starting to develop a nose for the net too. He got a vital goal against Trinidad and Tobago last time out in the Copa America qualifying, and as well as the United States back in the Gold Cup. So he's developing that nose for the net, and it's starting to show in club football as well. In the CONCACAF Champions League, he got 2 goals and 2 assists in 4 matches, and his 2 goals came against some guy named Lionel Messi with Inter Miami. Yeah. So Jacob Schaffelberg is kind of showing that he can be a player for the big stage, which is something that we're going to need, and I think is something very, very good to have. Liam Miller, on the other hand, is a very tricky winger. He's able to dance around defenders, weaving his way in and out of tackles. He spent his season on loan at Preston in the championship, where he did actually win the club's goal of the season. He enjoyed his time there, and I would love to see him grab a permanent move there. And I'm really excited to see him back in the Canadian national team setup. He's always one that you're not sure if he's going to get the call, even though he's playing well, just because that position is so stacked. So like I said, I'm very happy that he is getting the call. He's a great player. He's really exciting too. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how, if Jesse Marsch uses him in these 2 friendlies, how he's going to be used. And then our final left winger is Junior Hoylett, who was left home last time out, but not this time. He was rightfully brought back into the fold. And despite being one of our oldest players in the camp, he is one of our most important in my opinion. Much like Miller, he's very tricky when he's on the ball and able to get around defenders. But something that Hoylett brings to this team that not many people can is his playmaking ability. I think it's always been an underrated aspect of his play style throughout his career. And it's just so great to see that he is back in this fold with this team. Just his trickiness and ability to pick a pass, see a chance even in the final third, I think could be massive against teams like Netherlands and France, and really massive for the boys in this camp. So it is great to see him back in this side, and as you can tell, I'm really excited about seeing him back here. I love Junior Hoylett, and I really hope he gets some game time. Ugbo is a good addition to have as well, as he's had a very strong season with Sheffield Wednesday. He's a good option. I don't think he'll be dislodging Larin or David. I could be wrong if Marsch maybe wants to change things up, but no, I honestly don't see it happening. Nothing against Ugbo. I actually do really rate him as a player. Just Larin and David are our two guys up there. And as Theo Bair has had a breakout season with Motherwell, it's great to see him get a well-deserved call. But once again, I'm not sure he's going to be dislodging our two main men. And speaking of our main men, let's talk about the men's national team leading goal scorer with Kyle Larin, who always seems to come up clutch for Canada. He's scored some big goals against the States on multiple occasions, Mexico, and bagged the first goal against Jamaica when Canada clinched World Cup qualification. He has 29 goals for his country. He offers us something different to Jonathan David. Larin has some great hold-up play, I find, and his strength, he uses it to his advantage really well. He's also just such a presence in the box, which is something that Jonathan David sometimes isn't. They are two very different strikers, in my opinion. I actually think they complement each other really, really well. So when they're playing together and playing both in top form together, I think it's really great. So speaking of Jonathan David, our men's national team's second leading goal scorer of all time, is coming off a very another impressive campaign with Lille. He's undeniably has a nose for the net, but I think his ability to carry the ball and sometimes drop into a number 10 role is what sets him apart from Larin. See, they are two different players. Whereas Larin is more of like your classic number 9, I find. David is almost like a newer generation of a number 9, almost modeling his game after like a Harry Kane. No, I don't believe he's at a level of Harry Kane. Obviously, Harry Kane is the best striker in the world. But almost how Harry Kane can sometimes drop deep and provide for his teammates, I find Jonathan David can do that too when he's really on his A game. And obviously against teams like the Netherlands and France, he's going to need to be on his A game and in the Copa America, because once again, I don't think Jonathan David won't make the squad for the Copa America. So looking forward to that. We're going to need him to also really show up if we want to get results and want to upset some big teams. And of course, last but certainly not least, is Tajon Buchanan, the first ever Canadian to play in and win the Serie A. He burst onto the Canadian scene in 2021 in that Gold Cup tournament where he won the Young Player of the tournament. He has accumulated 36 caps and 4 goals for his country in that time and has been vital to our success in this last 3 years. I love the way he plays. He's so quick with the ball on and off of it. He's able to shrug challenges off, create space and chances for fellow teammates. He's able to link up with whoever he's playing with in this front line as well, and can offer something different to his teammates. Tajon Buchanan has always been one to watch for Canada, and I think it'll be no different with these friendlies. I think Tajon's going to have a point to prove, given that he has found minutes few and far between with Inter Milan. He's started to play a bit more minutes. He's yet to still start a game for the Italian Giants. So I think he's going to have that point to prove, a chip on his shoulder, and I think that could work out well for him, because I think he's going to just come and he's just a baller. So he's going to come and he's going to ball, I think. And he is one of our exciting players, and he's one of those players that I always kind of equate to, like, he'll get you off your seat. Like, you don't know what he's going to do next, and it's always exciting to see when that ball is at his feet. What is he going to do? I think he was a standout performer for us in the World Cup, which is why Inter Milan were courting him, rumor has it, since then, and they just made the deal permanent in this past January. So I do think Tajon Buchanan is one to watch for these upcoming friendlies, and of course the Copa America if and when he gets selected. So yeah, a very exciting team in my opinion. No real surprises to me, apart from those three left wingers that we're bringing with Hoylett, Schaffelberg, and Miller. I was expecting some of them, two, maybe one of them, to not make it, but very glad that they did make it. I think it's a very good team for Jesse Marsch's first international call-up. Not too much change, but still some guys in there that will be looking to impress him and to get further call-ups who aren't always guaranteed call-ups. So I think it's going to be a very interesting friendly period, especially so close to our Copa America. And I think there could be some guys that definitely are trying to play for a spot on our Copa America side. And I think it will be very exciting to see where we stack up against Netherlands and France leading into our campaign in the Copa America, as we will be facing the world champions and defending Copa America champions Argentina on June 20th. So I think it's going to be very exciting. I think it's a very exciting month. Well, not even a month at this point. A very exciting 2-3 weeks coming up for the Canadian men's national team and to be a Canadian football supporter. But let me know what you think of this squad. Reach out on your socials, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or in the comments here on YouTube. Let me know what you'd like to see more of. If you agree or disagree with some of my takes, I'll definitely be watching these games, first against the Netherlands on June 6th, then against France on June 9th. I hope you will too, and I also hope that you will stick around for more great episodes. We're just getting started here, and I can't wait for what's to come. Until then, follow my Instagram at @officialsamlittle. From there, you can find all my other socials. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you very soon.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates at @officialsamlittle on Instagram, where I am most active. And until next time, live, laugh, little.